The Immigrant Council of Ireland's report on Islamophobia, I think, is a really valuable piece of work in terms of letting us hear some Muslim voices in Ireland talking about, the actual day-to-day experience of ordinary Muslims when it comes to people expressing themselves to them in ways that are not always friendly, unfortunately. I'm sure most Irish people welcome Muslims and on a personal basis are very happy to see them as their neighbours, but clearly from this report there's a problem with some Irish people and how they treat some Muslims. I think there are many different kinds of media responses to Islam and to Irish Muslims, as there are many different kinds of Muslims indeed. So I think generalisations are a little dangerous. I think most members of the National Union of Journalists, for instance, serious journalists, would be very conscious of how they cover the problem. But there's no doubt that at times there are very misleading headlines. There's a certain amount of sensationalism in some of the media. And I think we need to engage with that and understand it. Some of it is an understandable reaction to events that are frightening for readers and viewers, and editors are trying to respond to those. And sometimes they get mixed up, I think, in terms of what they're responding to, and they make generalizations about Muslims that are not fair. And I think as Irish people, particularly those of us who are old enough to remember what it was like going to Britain during the worst of the IRA period, know that it's not very nice when some people of your faith or of your nationality are doing certain disreputable things. It's not very nice for other people to assume that all Irish are the same or that all Muslims are the same. There are two very simple ways in which Muslim communities can engage with the media. One positive: they can actually invite individual journalists and editors to come and chat with them, ask them for their advice on how to deal with the media. Not a whole group of them, but just on a cup of tea, when you've got time, come and talk to us, and that's a positive way. In a more challenging way, if they have a problem and they find that that problem is not being dealt with by a particular media organisation, they should resort to the legal mechanisms that are there to complain. And by that I mean, if it's a broadcasting organisation, they should take their complaint to the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland. And if they have a complaint about a newspaper, they should not be slow. If they have failed to get satisfaction from the editor, they should not be slow to go to the Press Council of Ireland. I think those are two mechanisms that are not used enough. Social media appears to be an invitation to some people to be really aggressive, and you don't have to be a Muslim to know that. If you're a journalist, you get quite a bit of it at the bottom of things you write, extraordinary comments. And people forget sometimes that if you can identify who is saying something online, they are amenable to the law in the same way that if they said it anywhere else. So you can sue them for defamation, for example, but you can also have them prosecuted under hate crime legislation. The difficulty is, of course, as we all know, a practical one in some circumstances, that it's difficult to know who is saying it, if it's anonymous or if they have taken steps to ensure that it's not clear what their address is from which they're making the comments. That's a practical issue that needs to be addressed. But in principle, if somebody is saying something that is a hate crime, they can certainly be prosecuted for it online, and perhaps people need to be reminded of that.